Most people, when you talk about melamine, think about the white standard melamine used in most cabinets and has for 30 years or more. But melamine comes in so many different options now, and what it does is it provides a pre-finished look that replicates wood and doesn't require stain and a lot of preparation, and actually saves on cost, because maple plywood is more expensive than melamine that's already pre-finished. In this case, the customer chose this color, and I would match the maple accents with a stain that closely resembled the melamine. The customer wanted the new bookcase to match an existing bookcase in his living room. This was the closest color to what he had. I'm going to show a couple different ways to cut down the sheets for this bookcase. I'm lucky enough to own a really high quality cabinet saw, but sometimes I still use my track saw to break down the sheets into manageable pieces, especially if I'm working by myself. You can do this entire bookcase with a track saw if you don't have a cabinet saw. This is my Hammer K3 cabinet saw. I bought it, I believe, in 2019. It's really a great saw for a smaller shop. It has an 80-inch slider, or Euro slider they call it, with an outrigger and a crosscut table. It also has a scoring blade, which is a must-have for cutting melamine. You'll see coming up here that I actually nicked the sheet with the scoring blade, and that's something you have to watch. It's really important to have a good plan and also a cutting list, and mark all your pieces as you cut them, otherwise it gets really confusing. A well-calibrated cabinet saw like this Hammer K3 is so accurate with this crosscut fence. Often I'm within less than half a millimeter, especially on a wider piece, which is pretty incredible. To make the adjustable shelf holes, I'm using a Festool LR32 system with a Festool OF1010 router. It'll also work with the 1400 router from Festool. This is a really quick way to make your shelf holes and also hinge holes without having a real high-end expensive line hole drill. There are also several jigs for drilling line holes that are on the market that just use a drill and a 5mm bit, and they work fine. There are also several ways to do edge banding on melamine and also plywood. Here I'm using a general edge bander that uses a hot air gun that I picked up about a year ago on the used market. It works fine. But also show you how to do edge banding with an iron, and it's really a dependable way to do edge banding as well. There we go. In both cases, you need to use a utility knife with a sharp blade to trim the edging and also buff it up slightly with about 320 sandpaper. Because of the tremendous amount of load on a piece of furniture like a bookcase, I decided to build the cabinet for the bookcase this way, with the sides resting on top of the base. The base would then be sitting on the floor with adjustable feet. The other thing I decided to do is make the bookcase in two sections so there'll be less chance of deflection on the sides because of the weight. Okay, we're going to spin that. We're going to put the holes that way. Yeah. As you notice here, I also did line holes on the back of the cabinet, and that's to help support the shelves and prevent sagging with all the weight of the books. I use an 1.25" brad nail to tack the panels together before I countersink and secure them with screws. There's no need for glue on a cabinet like this. The screws provide a very good secure hold, and glue doesn't work that good on melamine anyway. Okay, we'll just carry it over there. Put it right on top. What do you think, Autumn? I'm cutting up the 1x6 maple for the accent pieces on the bookcase. I'm using a 5-gallon pail to trace out the arches in the accent pieces, and here I'm making a MDF template for routing consistent pattern on the maple. This is another Jimmy DiResta trick using spray adhesive to make my own custom sanding block. It's a product called 3M Super 77. Here I'm attaching the maple to the template with hot glue before I run it through the router. I'm using a water-based spray-on varnish by Saman because the stain tends to run if you use a brush on it. Now that all the shop work is done, I'm heading to the job site for the installation. Every woodworker needs to own at least one Kreg pocket hole jig. I'm using this to fasten some hidden screws into the maple accents. I'm using my helper Alden for this installation, and I'm pretty much using him full time now. It's really a pleasure to work with a young person who wants to learn and has good work ethic like Alden does. The top of the bookcase is anchored to the wall to prevent the bookcase from falling over. I'm using the custom color punch kit from FastCap to make my own covers for screws out of the melamine tape. Just like the iron-on edging, the caps are secured with a hot iron. Nice. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Thanks very much.